Good morning, everybody. It's Ruthie Rocks, and I have a special guest with me today. And why don't you introduce yourself, Jim?
Good morning. My name is Jim Reno. Yes, Reno. Last name Reno, just like the city. Living here in Las Vegas, and I am a certified FHA appraiser.
And we're so happy that you joined us today, and you're going to enlighten us about some things that we all need to know. I'm going to go ahead and put you in the lobby, Jim, while I go ahead and tell everybody what's going on in the market. So we'll see you in a couple minutes.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Hey, everybody. It is another day in paradise here. Hey, kids, stop it. My kids are going crazy today. Yes, we're still hanging in there at 104 days of inventory, but I'm thinking it's probably going to change because we're doing 64 sales a day this month. Last year in February, we did 103 days. So big difference there. Not quite half, but we're down. But we knew that. 2022 was an awesome year, not normal. And so anyway, we are hanging in there at about $418,000 median price. And of course, I don't change it until the end of the month. But so far this month, we're headed downward. And I just wanted to mention to everybody that if you're sellers, let's see, let me put another chart up here just real quick. I think you've seen this one before. Let's see, I think we have another one. Put this one up here. Yeah. So if your sellers bought a home as late as December of 2021, they're probably going to be a little bit underwater because if they paid more than $399,000, $400,000, and the typical closing costs are 9 to 10%, they're probably going to be a little underwater. So hopefully they don't have to move. But if they do, they may consider doing a short sale, depending on their situation. But we're getting into that territory. I don't know how long we're going to be there because the sales are increasing. And as the sales are increasing, the inventory is going down. So if you do the 64 sales per day into the available inventory, which is 6,225, you're going to get below 100 days of inventory. So we're getting back into that shortage of inventory as the prices go down. And a lot of the lenders, like we say, are coming up with some awesome plans. So first-time home buyers and what have you can go ahead and actually buy a home now. So they're coming back into the market. And we'll see how long that lasts because as inventory prices go down, sometimes the prices go up a little bit, but with the interest rates, it might hold steady. So it's going to be an interesting first half of the year. Single family homes that are in the $425,000 range and under, about 28 were listed yesterday, which gives us a total of 1,488 single family available homes that are 425,000 or under, and that's 31% of our market right now. The $1 million homes are still going off the shelf, about 2 per day, half of what we did last year, but they were inching up to 3 per day, but now they're going back down to about 2. So we'll see where those go as the springtime comes and more $1 million homes get listed. We have about $788 million plus homes on the market today, and that's about 13% of the market. If we slide down here to investors are buying about 18 homes, I should say non-owner occupied are buying about 18 homes per day, and that's about 27% of the market. We are having a 1031 tax exchange CE class, 3 general credits on Friday from 10 to 1 at the training center. And I would invite everybody to participate because if you can speak investor, that just adds more skill sets to your toolbox. So that's about it for today. I'm not going to belabor anymore about the market because we want to have our guests come on up here and talk to us about he's a certified FHA appraiser and so knowledgeable. I think he's got 30 plus years experience doing what he's doing. So we know we've got an expert here, and I'm going to bring you up from the lobby, Jim. Give it a minute. There you go. There you
I'm
are.
back.
You're back. So, Jim, the market is heating up a little bit more. I think sales from January, they're increasing about 10, 15% from January per day. So as the prices go down, what does that present to you as an appraiser?
Well, just like you guys as agents, as appraisers, we only make money when properties change hands. And when I'd say 90% of the nation has an interest rate that's below 5% and current fixed rates are higher than that, you get this stagnation that happens where properties simply are not changing hands, because if you sell your property, where are you going to move? So I think it's a sit tight and wait situation that, unfortunately, right after Thanksgiving, we saw our order volume drop by about 80%, maybe even more. Right after the holiday, it slammed like a door. And it's kind of been that way ever since. Now, our company is a national company, and our president has inclinated to us that nationally, this last month, we saw a big boom. We saw a lot more orders. Not so in Las Vegas, unfortunately. It's remained fairly stagnant.
Really, even though we're
Yeah.
selling more homes per day, about 15% more. We were down, I think we were down around 50 per day, which was very low. Now we're headed back up, like I was saying, to 64 sales per day. So hopefully the appraisal business will pick up.
Well, we always feel it last. It's the agents that are the vanguard. They're out on the front lines. They make the deals happen. Then the lenders see it, and then the home inspectors and appraisers generally see it last. So it's kind of a tail whip effect, and we're hoping that you guys are seeing something good. So maybe in 30 days we'll feel it too.
What challenges does it present to you when the prices are going down? And I mean, I think at the height last July, I think they're up at 485 median price. Now they're down to 418.
That's one of the things that we talk about in the presentation that we're offering right now, free of charge, in your office live. Just call my number, text me, whatever, if you're interested in getting more information. Ruth and I have talked about it, so I won't belabor it here. But one of the things we discuss is the overall market, what we call the big M, and then the little m, which is the sub-market. And some areas that I've seen in Las Vegas are maintaining quite strongly. Others are in a rapid decline, and there are actually some areas that are even going up a little bit. So we have to do a micro search for the area when we find our comparables, so we can report which direction the market is actually going for that property in that area. And they're all different.
Okay. So what do you see? Do you have any history of the way this is trending, how it's going to, what's going to happen in the springtime, or what? Do you have any visionary ideas for us?
I wish I had a crystal ball for you, but we can always point to seasonal, market indicators, which as it warms up, the market heats up. We know that that's traditional, and we can probably expect some of that to happen. Unfortunately, as you probably know, because I know you're well-read and well-versed in this, you're an expert. The problem is this is the worst market we've seen since World War II. The worst. So it's the worst I've ever seen in my lifetime.
And you're talking Vegas.
I'm talking nationally. When you have the Fed who virtually doubles rates in less than a year, I mean, that hits like a hammer to the market. And their goal was to kill the housing market so the prices would drop. And that's what happened. Now, a stat that I read this morning says that once we get to about, I don't know why he used this number, but it's obviously from detailed research, 57 days on the market. Once we get to homes being on the market that long, that's when the Fed will feel more comfortable. Currently, we are back up to about 30. So we're heading that direction.
Yeah, I don't know how long that will take, especially with springtime coming and people still moving here. We still have the people moving here, and a lot of them are cash buyers. Obviously, 18 of the 64 homes that we sell per day are to non-owner occupieds. And then, another 3 or 4 are up there in the $1 million range. So, that's what, 20% of the sales.
A lot of sellers that I talk to, sometimes I'll have to reach out to an agent and say, hey, listen, the current days on the market or DOM stat for this area seems to be X, and your property is twice that. Is there a reason? Is there something wrong with this property or a detail that you can share with me? And sometimes they simply say, we really don't know. We think it's priced properly. The problem is all we're getting are lowball investor offers, which we are, my seller's not in a hurry, so they're turning them down. I'm sure you've seen that too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, our agents are saying the same thing. They'll have a property listed for $485,000. That's truly a value because it's, in our case, it happens to be a duplex, I'd say. that's given 6-7% return on investment. And the seller finally, who's trying to retire after owning the property since 2008, he's got quite a bit of equity. So
Sure.
he's like inching that price down. And he finally said, hey, I'll take $405,000 for it. That's coming down $80,000.
That's a big hit. And a lot of times, I'll go to someone's house to do an inspection, and they'll complain to me about house values. And what they don't realize is appraisers don't actually value anything. It's when they say it's my opinion of value, that's based on market research. It's whatever the market gives me. So sometimes if it's someone who's kind of cool and it can make a joke with them, I'll say, you know what? Blame your neighbor who's just sold for 20% below market value, because they're the ones that are bringing the market down.
And that's what you have to go by. I think we talked in my office a little bit about, in commercial, we always did replacement value, as that's something that was a good negotiating tool. But it doesn't work here with residential.
No, with residential, that's something. There are three. I'm sure you know this, but just to reiterate it and remind people who may not know, appraisers have three options when they are creating their value opinion. And the most important has to do with sales. It's called the sales comparison approach. The one that you just reflected on is called the cost approach. And then the last one would be the income approach for rentals or multis, right? We almost never use the income approach unless it's requested, or if it is a multi, then it's required. And the cost approach is, a lot of people try to use it as a shortcut to, what do I insure my house for? They're not supposed to do that, but we know they do. So we put in the report, don't do that. Most lenders, honestly, don't even require the cost approach anymore. So it boils down to exactly what you said. It all has to do with the market and the sales and the listings and the direction of the market.
I've been in my house 20 years, and we refinanced it. And I was surprised when the appraiser said that now they're trying as hard as they can to only do the same floor plan that we had as a comparable. Do you find with your appraise what you do you do that? Is that required?
If it's new construction, that might carry some weight.
No,
but you've been in your house 20 years, so it's obviously not new construction. No, that's a long-winded explanation, but I'm basically going to research the market. And when I'm doing my research, I'm not going to know what the floor plans are of the other houses. I'll know yours because I looked at it, if I inspected it, right?
Yeah.
But the other houses, I generally will not know the floor plan. I'll know the square footage, the bed and bath, the general design, that kind of thing. But appraisers aren't allowed to inspect the interior. Now, the tax assessor's office does offer a link where you can get a sketch, which kind of includes a very basic floor plan. So that might be helpful. But I'll be honest with you, most of the time when I look at those, they're not correct.
Yeah, I mean, we're in a gated community, 1,000 homes. Some are 2 stories, some are 1 stories, some are on the golf course, some are back up to the mountain, some have pools, some don't. But at the end of the day, I mean, there's only a handful of floor plans like ours. And so he didn't give us the value that we wanted. So we got a second opinion and got the value that we wanted. So I was really surprised.
Which is a good idea. And that's another class that I taught for years at a place called Loan Officer University, where I taught them the art of the rebuttal, how to develop a professional rebuttal without just saying, hey, your data sucks, you suck, you're not professional, which is what a lot of people do. And immediately the appraiser, puts his hands up and goes on the defensive when you attack him. And you just politely and professionally say, hey, listen, I kind of feel your value might be a little off, and here's why. Here's some data that I found. Could you do a reconsideration?
Yeah.
That tends to work.
Yeah. So when we got a second opinion, unfortunately, because it took another couple of weeks to do it, it was right when the interest rates went up another 3/4 of a point. So
wow.
We got the value that we wanted, but we paid more for the interest rate. But I was talking to someone yesterday who is just refinanced their home, and they used City National Bank to do it. And City National Bank, this is just general information, if they give you a loan at 5.75%, and then they come back in 6 months or a year and they lower their rate to 5%, they lower your loan to 5%. Now you have to give them a letter, and I think it costs $2,000, but they will lower the interest on that loan going forward. I thought that was really interesting. Have you come across that in your
Yeah,
travels?
my wife's been in lending for decades, and I'd have to tap her shoulder, but I believe they call that recasting. I'm
Yes,
surprised
they
that
do.
is that am I right? Okay, not too bad for an appraiser. I'm surprised they charge you $2,000 for that though. That
Yeah,
seems like a lot.
well, I know, but I guess it's saving. I guess maybe now her loan was $1,051,000, so maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know if
Okay.
there's a sliding scale on the cost to do the recast, but I haven't heard that for a long time. I mean, I can't even remember the last time I heard it until she said it yesterday.
It makes
So,
sense though if you think about it because their business has gone down just as much as everybody else. Just like
yes.
the builders that are offering, well, if you use their financing, they'll give you a break on the closing costs. They'll also sweeten the deal by giving you some options that they normally would have charged for. Because quite frankly, they've got to get rid of these houses. They can't just hang on to them or they'll go bankrupt.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and hopefully some of these, well, hopefully, I shouldn't say that because it's their business and I don't want them to lose money. But, they've been a lot higher than the new homes have been a lot higher because of labor, because of, the cost of materials and so on and so forth than the resales. But I can remember Richard Lee, that used to work for one of the title companies. He used to say the best market is when they get closer together, because then people have more of a choice, and I think that's a good idea as long as the resales don't go up. If they
That
if
makes
the
sense. I
Yeah,
think
but
we're going to see a lot of incentives like the one you just described moving
yeah,
forward.
yeah, I think so too. Um, and people are all over the incentives, of course, but at the end of the day, the price is what attracts them to the particular property. At least
And
that's
that
been
would
in
be
my
the key
experience.
incentive, right?
Mhm.
Offered by the
Yeah,
seller, like you said, lowering their sales price.
yeah. Um, Anything else you want to share with us today, Jim?
Just basically that we do have this 30-minute presentation, how to choose comparables like an appraiser, price, cost, value, and worth are four terms that we discuss and tell you the differences between all of them and how appraisers would approach, how we actually kind of dispel some of the myths and show you how we really do these things. There's also a lot of really exciting software that appraisers can use now to justify their adjustments. So they can't just say, well, I've been doing it a long time and I've been here for 10 years. That's not really going to fly in the age of technology. So we use another program called Synapse, which will go back 5 years and look at thousands of different properties and what people paid for each different item. So if you say, hey, at this house, what's the value of an in-ground pool? Well, I can find out. I can find out what the market's been paying for it and what they're paying for it now. And I can back it up with statistical research. So that really makes my reports that much more bulletproof.
So my appraiser, one appraiser gave the pool value of I think 50,000, and then the second appraiser came in and gave it a value of 100,000. It's a huge pool. I wish I
Yeah,
didn't have it, but
that's where you're going to have to say, what did you base your analysis on? Because let's face it, both of those numbers are very round,
hmm
and one is double the other.
yeah.
So I'm not real comfortable with either one, to be honest with you. If they actually put in the report, this is how I adjusted things based on this market research. I've got all kinds of graphs and research and a line item for just about every single adjustment in mind. So mine's backed up by data, and that's very useful because you can say, well, we thought it was worth 75,000, and I can say you're close. The market's about 65, and here's why.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a big difference, and um, it- which makes me think of another question that maybe other viewers are want to know too. I mean, the cost of a lot of the things are going up,
Hmm,
and like the pool, for instance. And you
for
said
sure.
that you do the research. So does your research reflect like current data, like the current last year, how much people paid for the pool, which might be a little bit more than someone else paid 3 or 4 years ago?
Absolutely. It also, this software is really ingenious. It accounts for uh, variations in markets over time, and it goes all the way up to today, which we call the effective date. I want to know what my property is worth today, but I have to look backwards with the sales, and I have to look forwards with the direction of the market with the pendings. Those are in contract and the listings. and it balances all of those.
Yeah. So what is the name of the program that you use?
Synapse. It's
Synapse.
Synapse. The same brothers that created Spark also created Synapse, and they now both work for True Footage, and True Footage bought both of those programs. So
Terrific.
I use them, and they're very useful. They're complicated. I'll be honest with you. It takes some practice, but they have free training videos that you can use. And if you have any questions, you can just call or text me, and I can perhaps guide you in the right direction.
I want to put your website up here for a moment. It's truefootage.tech. First thing I did was type in truefootage.com, but then I looked at your email address. I said, no, it's .tech.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so you want to speak a little bit about this first frame on your website? Can you see it?
We're basically giving you your turn time and inspection to release. That's like, because turn time 5 days, that's when did we get the order to when did we submit the report. The inspection to release a little more compacted there, because it's when did they actually let me in to when did I turn it in. And 43 hours, that's pretty darn good. On time delivery, I know mine are always early or at least on time. And accumulated experience, I don't know how they got that figure. I guess it means all of the people involved, how long they've been doing it.
Yeah.
You said I've been doing it 30 plus years. That's close. I've been almost, I'm getting on to 25 years right now. But honestly, I think it takes a good 10 years for an appraiser to really get good at what he does.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. It's wow. And then I went on to this. Now this says choose the appraisal report that best suits your needs. So does the normal consumer use this, or does the lender use this?
Either one. Yeah, this is marketed for either one, because if let's say my house right here in Las Vegas, and I'm thinking about selling it, and I want to use a completely unbiased opinion, not my own, maybe I'd order an appraisal. You know what I mean? I had a gentleman who reached out to me a week or so ago. He had recently inherited 3 properties. His parents passed away. He got 3 houses in the deals. Lucky him, sad for his parents, but hey, that's not a bad inheritance. He wanted to know what they were worth for tax purposes.
Yeah.
So those are private appraisals.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. I thought the site was very interesting. And then I think we talked about this too, the Spark. And I wanted to mention this because Spark is one of the tabs on your website. However, you had some comments about that. So if you just speak to that for a second.
Well, I'm going to go look at that site very quickly, because I've always known it as Spark for appraisers. And I'm looking at the site right now. Data import up to 30 comps from MLS and public records. That would be for an appraiser to import comps into his or her 1004 report. The 1004 MC, same thing with trend analysis, cost approach we discussed. That's an appraiser's approach to value, and digital work file, which is something we legally must keep. And what that does is it stores everything that we did and how we based our value and opinion, all the comps, everything else, just in case we ever got challenged. The first thing they're going to say is, I need to see your work file. So I'm really going to tell you, I believe Spark is for appraisers.
Yeah.
And it's complicated. It takes some training.
So if somebody happens to click on that, they might want to contact you for some help as to what they should or shouldn't do with it. I know we're going to have you in our office to do the presentation. So the presentation sounds like it would cover maybe these things, but on a lighter level for the real estate agent.
Definitely. And it would also put me in a position to say, hey, I'm here to help you free of charge. Just let me know, because appraisers don't get paid by real estate agents. So any service that I offer to you is basically going to be free for that referral. And I would point out something on the Spark site where it says work less, make more.
Yes.
What could Spark do for you? That kind of thing. They're really marketing to appraisers there. They're saying, we're going to help you make your job easier.
So if I had a lender, and well, I do have a lender, I have several lenders, and I would say, send them to this site and tell them to look at what, I think this is a good representation of some of the technical tools that, you avail yourself to in order to come up with, the best appraised value for the home. And so I might use it for that reason. What do you think of that idea?
Well, it's not a free site. I believe they charge $50 a month for that. So you'd have to determine if that's useful for you. Um, I I can turn you over to Brandon, the gentleman who created the site, and perhaps he could answer more questions about how an agent can use it, because I can only see it from an appraiser's perspective. And I don't want to dissuade you from something that might help you. But if you were to ask me and no one else, I'd say, I don't think that site's going to be useful for agents.
Yeah.
I might be wrong.
But if I wanted to suggest that my lender use you, then I would maybe direct them to this site to let them see all the different tools that you have.
Sure. And I could even demonstrate Synapse and how that works for adjustment support, so that they know that I'm just not pulling these numbers out of the air. It kind of bothers me that you had a $50,000 adjustment and a $100,000 adjustment. I would say probably within a week or less by two different appraisers. And, two different appraisers can disagree about something and both can be right. Mm-hmm. There is no exact answer, but that's a pretty big difference. And I'm seriously doubting it was based on research.
Oh, I agree. Yeah. And then the fact that the one that did the $50,000 valuation for the pool was the same one that wanted me to give him a list of the homes in my community that had the same floor plan as me. I wasn't real impressed.
You have a single family detached residence. I'm assuming it's a 1-story.
Yes.
Because I kind of know the area where you live. Okay. Yeah. And what's the approximate square footage?
3,080 square feet. Downstairs, we have a casita that's 450 square feet.
Is the casita attached to the main house?
No.
It is
detached. Found that it's detached, and I found that that's not good either.
Well, no, it's good. They're very valuable, especially.
Oops, I lost you, Jim. Where'd you go? I lost you, Jim. I think we lost him, everybody. Oh, here he comes. He's coming back. He's coming back. Yeah, I can see now. I'm going to bring him back up. So go ahead.
Not sure what happened. I don't even know how I fixed it. I'm glad I'm here, but I fixed it. Okay, so we're talking about detached casita, or as they call additional dwelling unit, or ADU. You're going to see all these terms thrown around. We like to use ADU or casita locally. Yours is detached. I'm assuming it has a living space, a sitting area for dining, a kitchenette, a bedroom, and a bathroom, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. That carries separate value, but it carries a good value and should be compared to like properties. You can't just glom that onto the main structure because it's not part of the main house.
Right.
If it was attached, like a lot of them I see are, then it's generally valued with the same gross living area or GLA square footage, but it's also considered an amenity because it usually has a separate entrance and can be walled off from the inside.
Yeah. But anyway, so those were the particulars with my home. I have a cabana outside. I have a pool. I have a spa, a third of an acre.
Sounds nice.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is. That's why we've been here 20 years.
I was going to say, I don't think you're going to sell it in this market.
No,
No,
we're not going to sell it. But anyway, I was, so that led me to another question for you real quickly, because we got about 4 minutes left.
And then I've got one for you before we go.
Okay. Refinancing.
Yes.
So when you do appraisals for refinancing a home, is that common, first of all?
It was. It's not now. I see a handful of them now, not nearly as many as we used to. I'm also not seeing a lot of FHA or VA work.
So that's just the market, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but when it comes to when a bank refinances, do they want an appraisal? Is the question.
Generally speaking, yeah, unless it's like a HELOC where they take a home equity line of credit, a second mortgage, or they're taking a small amount of money out, and the person has a lot of equity, they can forego the appraisal a lot of times, or they'll do a digital appraisal online. But if they're doing a full refi, generally they're going to want an appraisal, yes.
Yeah. All righty. And then you had some things for us?
Yes. If any of the people who are watching right now are agents who are skilled in renting furnished houses in Las Vegas, please reach out to me and let me know.
And why?
Because I may have one.
Oh, okay.
I may have a
Yeah,
property that I want to rent out, but I prefer to rent it fully furnished.
cool. Very good. Yeah, that's good. So, Jim, I truly appreciate your time. And I hope that people reach out to you. I know we have brokers and other agents that are influential in them with their brokers, and hopefully they would have you come to their office at one of their office meetings and have you do a presentation, because I know it can only help.
Yeah, it takes 30 minutes. It's a light and bright thing. It's not too detailed. It's very conversational, and then we usually open up the floor for as long as you need us for Q&A. And quite honestly, the Q&A sessions usually go longer than the presentation.
Yeah, people have lots of questions.
It's okay. It's what we're here for.
Well, Jim, thank you so much. And I'm going to close the show. If you just hang in there for a second, I have a question for you.
You bet.
And everybody subscribe and like, and leave some comments if you would. If you have any more questions for me, let me know. And same for Jim, and I'll pass them on to him. Thanks.